From broken Bulgaria to reborn in Bangkok. My name's Tyler. I'm 28, from Indiana, and 3 years ago I made the dumbest, wildest, and somehow best decision of my life. I sold everything I owned, bought a one-way ticket to Eastern Europe, and told everyone I was starting fresh. That fresh start lasted about 11 days. In those 11 days, I got scammed, robbed, stranded, and nearly deported. But I'll get to that. This is the story of how I hit rock bottom in Bulgaria and somehow ended up rebuilding my life in Bangkok, a city I hadn't even planned to visit. Part 1. Indiana is cold, and so was I. Back in Indiana, I was living in my mom's basement after a brutal breakup and a job that laid me off due to restructuring. Read, they hired someone younger and cheaper. I was working at a gas station overnight, eating freezer burritos and convincing myself I just needed a change of scenery. One night, I saw a YouTube ad. Move to Eastern Europe, live for cheap, work remotely. I didn't have a remote job, but I did have $3,800 in savings, a mildly updated passport, and poor impulse control. I booked a one-way flight to Sofia, Bulgaria. Part 2. Welcome to Bulgaria. Please empty your wallet. I landed in Sofia with my backpack, laptop, and zero Bulgarian vocabulary. The first few days, magical. Mountains, cute cafes, $2 beers. I ate banitsa for breakfast and told my Instagram followers I was living the digital nomad dream. The only thing I was missing was the digital and the nomad income. That's when I met Ivan. Ivan was charming. Too charming. Said he helped foreigners find local-friendly apartments. He spoke perfect English and even offered to drive me around. On day 4, he showed me a deal, a fully furnished studio in the center of the city for just €250 a month. All he needed was a security deposit, in cash, of course. You can probably guess what happened next. I gave him €500. He gave me a fake key and a contract. I never saw him again. I didn't even get to see the inside of the place. He vanished. His phone, dead. Office, fake. I was homeless in Bulgaria by day 5. Part 3. The hotel, the thief, and my last $50. I moved into the cheapest hotel I could find. It smelled like mold and boiled cabbage, but it had Wi-Fi, which I used to apply to 14 online jobs, 3 freelance gigs, and 1 job selling foot pics anonymously. Don't ask. One morning, I went out for coffee and came back to find my laptop stolen. No forced entry, nothing at the front desk, just gone, clean. Now I had no job, no laptop, no apartment, no plan. I sat on the floor of that crusty hotel room and actually cried, like loud, ugly crying, the kind where snot and self-hatred come out at the same time. I had $48.30 left. I considered calling my mom. Instead, I Googled cheap countries near Bulgaria where Americans don't need a visa. One of the first results? Thailand. Part 4. Bangkok or bust. My flight to Bangkok cost $395. I had to borrow $300 from a high school friend who still believed in me for some reason. The flight was 13 hours. I ate 3 dry sandwiches and spent most of the time practicing how to say, "I'm not a criminal," in Thai. I landed in Bangkok with $5 in my wallet, no job, no plan, and absolutely no idea how anything worked. I was sweaty, jet-lagged, and barely alive. But the air? It smelled like fire, noodles, and second chances. Part 5. The tuk-tuk, the temple, and the job. My first night in Bangkok, I accidentally got scammed again. A tuk-tuk driver charged me 600 baht, about $17, for a 5-minute ride. I should have known something was up when he called me my brother before I even got in. But something shifted the next day. I was walking near a Buddhist temple, looking like a lost tourist, when an older Thai man asked if I was okay. I told him the truth. I got robbed in Bulgaria, scammed twice, and I might have to eat leaves later. He laughed and handed me a water bottle. Then he pointed to a hostel and said, "Go there. My nephew works. Maybe you clean, maybe you sleep." That man, whose name I still don't know, literally saved my life. I got a bunk bed in exchange for 3 hours of cleaning toilets and handing out keys. It wasn't glamorous, but it was shelter. That hostel had free Wi-Fi, a community kitchen, and one very loud British guy named Sean who snored like a dying bear. Part 6. Leveling up. Slowly and with a lot of rice. For the next 3 months, I lived in that hostel, applied for remote jobs daily, and learned to survive on fried rice, iced coffee, and 7-Eleven Toasties. I started teaching English online to Chinese kids. The pay was awful, the hours were worse, but it was money. Eventually, I found a better gig editing YouTube videos for an Australian travel vlogger. I even learned some Thai phrases. My favorite, "Mai pen rai." It means no worries, but in a deep spiritual, life will move on kind of way. I started making friends, digital nomads, expats, misfits, weirdos, and legends. One of them helped me rent a real apartment. It had air conditioning and a toilet that flushed. I felt like a king. Part 7, Redemption Arc activated.
6 months after arriving in Bangkok, I had a freelance job paying $1,200 a month, a scooter, technically borrowed, a Thai SIM card, a regular gym routine, okay, I went twice, and a local noodle shop that knew my order before I spoke. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't desperate. I started writing about my story. I made videos. I told people, if I can survive Bulgaria with $5 and head full of bad choices, you can too. People actually listened. I got followers, a small YouTube channel. Someone even messaged me, "Bro, your Bulgaria story made me cry and laugh. Respect." That was the first time I thought, maybe this wasn't all a disaster. Maybe this is just chapter 1.
Part 8. Time to move again. After a year in Bangkok, I felt stable. Too stable. Rent was paid, I had savings, but something inside me whispered, time to go. I looked at my beat-up suitcase, my half-used SIM cards, and my passport with new stamps. Then I Googled again. Best countries for solo travelers with remote jobs. Top result? Colombia. I laughed, because of course I'd fly across the world again. Of course I'd risk another tuk-tuk scam or laptop theft or crying on the floor moment. But this time, I'd be ready. Final thoughts. If you told me 3 years ago that losing everything in Bulgaria would lead to finding purpose in Bangkok, I'd have laughed in your face, then maybe cried into my burrito. But here's what I've learned. Failure isn't the end, it's just a funny beginning. Strangers can be angels, even ones who scam you. Humility comes fast when you clean hostel toilets, and life has a weird sense of humor. So if you're broke, scared, lost, or sitting in a hotel room halfway across the world wondering why your life is a meme, just remember, you can start again, even in Bangkok, even with $5, even after Bulgaria, and who knows, maybe next time I'll try Colombia. Wish me luck.